How are you doing? I knew it. I absolutely knew it. Listen, everybody, we're back. It looks like, unfortunately, look, I'm gonna have to do a stream now because I didn't expect to be doing this. I was actually just in the process of making my video of 5 things to expect from Igor Paixao, like we did with Anton Stack, which went down really well with you guys. It was on like 21,000 views real time. You love the video. So I was like, do you know what? I'll do the same about Igor Paixao. Leeds were leading the race. We did a video this morning. All the rumours, even from the Feyenoord side, were that Marseille were dropping out, and it went very quiet, hasn't it? It's been very, very quiet. It's almost been like Leeds United have got the deal done in the background, but we know football negotiation doesn't work like that, and it went very, very quiet after that second bid from the Marseille side. And, I was asked this morning by several of you guys, Connor, do you think it's done? And look, we've got here as if it's a done deal. You can see on the screen now, it's not a done deal. It isn't a done deal. We know that. But what we do know is that there's a medical Fabrice Hawkins has put out there, who's a top tier French journalist. This has also been confirmed by Fabrizio that Leeds United have, well, effectively read between the lines. Leeds have missed out. Leeds have missed out. And I do, honestly, guys, the amount of detail, and the amount of effort that has gone into just even these streams. Doing the research behind Igor Paixao has been nuts. I pretty much know when he was born, every one of his postcodes. Do you know what I mean? And I guess even today, I thought, do you know what, Connor? Stop being a cynical git. Stop being cynical. Believe. And I was very excited at the weekend. Even my missus said to me today, she said, look, Connor, she went, believe. It looks like it's happening. And she just heard me swearing at the top of the stairs there. Uh, as Leeds United have missed out. And yeah, we'll get the tweet up anyway when it comes to Paixao. I don't know how many of you guys are in here right now, everybody. We just did this very impromptu. It came off the cuff, and I'll just get this up now. And it's very disappointing because, we've also had a bomb this morning when it comes to, obviously Sunderland signing Granit Xhaka, which is a phenomenal signing. So I just thought we'd match them here with this signing. And there's an argument this was a better signing, but we'll just get the image up on screen, of which none of us wanted to see. None of us wanted to see today. And it is Igor Paixao. Here he is, the mug. We don't like him anymore. Igor Paixao to Olympique Marseille. Here we go. Deal in place for the winger to join Marseille. 5-year deal. Bastards. Bastards. An agreement to club with Feyenoord, as Fabrice Hawkins and La Provence reported. Paixao wanted Olympique Marseille despite efforts and improved bids sent by Leeds. So it looks like a very, very similar scenario to maybe when Rafinha was leaving. And there was Chelsea, who had a lot of money up front with the Rafinha deal. It was when Todd Bowley first came in, and he effectively went, I don't want to go to Chelsea. Whatever happens, I want to go to Barcelona. So this morning, the reports were that Marseille was struggling to meet the fee. I don't know what this fee is now. Presumably, it's a little bit less than what Leeds would have been able to pay. And I kind of got myself into the motion of, do you know what? We'll just pay more, and we will keep paying more. But there was something in the back of my head. And you guys even asked me this morning. There's a lot of you that were asking me this morning and saying, Connor, do you think we do it? And even with all the backing, even with the state of which Leeds United were in pole position, I still had this niggling feeling. And it just came back to Charles de Ketelaere. When a player just doesn't want to move, it's really difficult to get it done. And the agent will struggle with that. The agent will have wanted to move to Leeds, I think, especially if the fee was higher and he knows that Leeds are going to be able to pay more because he gets commission off that transfer fee. We mentioned this morning that if it's 35 million euros, he'll make about 3.5 million quid in that deal if it's a 10% margin, which it can be with agents nowadays. So yeah, gutted. I have to say I'm gutted at this one. I'm gutted. There's talks of Bakwa, Strasbourg. It'd be a good addition. He's played fullback. He's pretty much on the other side anyway. Whether or not Leeds focus on that side a little bit more, bring Bakwa in and bring Nonto and Ramazani over to that left-hand side for the full season could be an option. And we do have that in our wheelhouse. But yeah, I'd have loved this signing. Have to be honest, very much reminiscent in terms of how he moves with the ball to Cody Gakpo, in my opinion. Even traits of Mbappe at a sense in terms of how he moves with the ball and how he glides through defenses. So I'd have loved Igor Paixao I've just done a 5 things to expect from him as well as a previous video, which took around about 3 hours worth of editing. So that's now out the window, which is fantastic. Thank you. But Fabrice Hawkins mentioned at the weekend that Leeds had gone into pole position. Romano said that we're in pole position. All the reports this morning suggested we are in pole position. They couldn't afford him. This is crazy how this has developed. We'll have a quick look at Fabrice Hawkins, see what he's had to say about it. 31 minutes ago, he dropped it. He just said full agreement with Feyenoord. And Igor Paixao, he's authorized to travel to Marseille for his medical examination. They're beating us again. Flipping it. This lot love just beating us up when it comes to transfers. But yeah, guys, slap a like on the video if you would, if you can hear. Presumably you can hear. Everything does happen for a reason. You are right, Nige. Everything happens for a reason. And we're kind of looking at a scenario now where Leeds United are just going to have to move on. We are, yeah, send Paixao an invoice. Indeed, mate. Indeed. It's, oh my God. Hi, Igor. This will be probably around about 20 hours work on you, my friend. I thought maybe today, if we'd have got through proceedings today, and it was, do you know what it always was with him? It was this green light to the Premier League thing where I'm like, where's he? I'm not, it didn't feel that there was any like proper reports. We said it this morning. Oh, he's spoken with Rafinha, and I was a bit like, where's it saying this? There's no real sources saying this. It's kind of just noise online. And it's like, he'd have liked the Premier League move. He likes the move. I was a little bit like, well, Fabrice Hawkins hasn't mentioned that. Leeds have just moved ahead when it comes to the bid. Romano didn't really say that. If you read between the lines, it's just Leeds had moved ahead with the bid. So I can't lie. Look, the positive is we've got to take out of this that the 49ers, and this is a key situation for Leeds fans where we don't go mental. The title says I feel sick. Was I angry? Yes. My missus is just coming from work and I just finished the video and there was a lot of expletives as soon as I saw this news and people sent me it immediately and I was like, ah, but it is what it is. Now, what we've learned from the 49ers and what we've got to keep our feet on the ground with it is you can't do anything about this. You cannot do anything about it. We've said before, De Zerbi's a massive pull. Champions League is a massive pull. They've somehow managed to get the money together. It's probably going to be lesser of a structured deal for Feyenoord, but who cares? Who's bothered? We can't, this morning we were talking about release clauses. We're talking about agent fees because we're talking about like the incremental bits of which, formulates a deal and maybe why it's been dragged out a little bit. But there's no point in talking about that anymore. Leeds have lost out on a big target. It's clearly their main target. And we've got to move on. We've got to move on. We moved on from Charles de Ketelaere. We moved on from Mickey Cuisance. We moved on from Rodrigo de Paul. We moved on from Josco Guardiola. It just happens in windows. But what we've learned with the 49ers is this has happened this window, hasn't it? With a certain Habib Diarra. Yeah, Habib Diarra Leeds tried to pay 23 million quid for. They didn't value him at 30 million quid. Next thing, Sunderland blows out the water and go for a 30 million pound bid. It is what it is. Sunderland went for him. We effectively missed out on him, even though we wouldn't match the fee. Siddiqui were very interested, but didn't put a bid in. But I guess this one is probably closer to Diarra than it was Siddiqui. Obviously, because we were in active negotiation. Evidently, Underwood will be gutted by this. I'm sure the whole team will be gutted by this. He's the number one priority. But this is why it's extremely hard to get deals like this done. He's a top European prospect, and we're a newly promoted club. And this might be a little bit of a reality check for maybe certain people who think that we effectively, and there are people like this who think that we should just be coming up and buying the league. It's never going to happen. There's too much of a gap between the promoted teams now and the established Premier League teams, even when you're looking at the mid-bracket sides, because players and agents just look at the financial viability of going to a mid-table bracket side and not having that much risk and the risk versus reward conversation. So that is something that we have to bear in mind here. Paixao probably looked at many factors when it comes to Marseille. As I say, the fact that it's a massive club in France, probably the second biggest club in France. And you look, it is what it is. So we don't need to go into how they've got him, but what we need to do is focus and not get too downbeat right now. I'm not down. And I think the reason I'm not down is because the 49ers have proven to me before that when we don't get DR, we go out and get Anton Stack. And I don't actually think that Anton Stack was a second option to Diarra, but I think that was almost like the moving of parts. And, as Angus Kinnear used to coin and speak about this all the time, market opportunity. And Leeds have now got to look at market opportunities. I like Bakwa at Strasbourg, and let's just get a little bit of his profile up now. Yes, see you in here, Darren. And we move on to the next one, of course we do, mate. And it is It is what it is. It is what it is, yeah. But Delane Bakwa, he was someone who's been spoken about previously as well. So we'll just get this guy off. We're not bothered about this guy anymore. It is what it is, done deal. But when you kind of look at the hold on a sec, let's just move on. You're gonna just be difficult. You're gonna be difficult. No, you're not. So Delane Bakwa as well. He's been spoken about in terms of being a target at the club, but he's obviously more of a right-sided player. If Leeds were maybe to actively put Largy and Willian Yonto on that left-hand side, amazing. And then you can bring in a right-sided player who can also play fullback, who's extremely versatile. Reminds me a little bit of Frimpong, to be honest. Previously at Leverkusen, now at Liverpool, I think he moves between the lines very nicely. Not too much in terms of the defensive player. Obviously, we know we can play at fullback, but it's more wing back. But then he is actively looked at as a right winger as well. So it will be interesting to see why Leeds would go for that and what they're looking at when it comes to the moving parts of this left hand side. But yeah, gutted. Have to be honest, gutted. And what I would say is, the priority targets for me, it can't now be let's go for Solomon, and that is just such a for me, it's just such a lower ebb than the likes of Igor Paixao. I think Paixao's sort of two levels above Solomon. So if we can't get that, I wonder where we're looking at now. But the reality of going for someone like Igor Paixao is with him being a top target, a lot of European clubs are going to be in for him, and Marseille is a gargantuan European club who've got a very illustrious history and good pedigree, and they're coming back a little bit in the French league right now. Obviously, De Zerbi at the helm is a big attraction, bringing players in, looking to bring in Tim Weah, Aubameyang, etc. I don't know. They've already brought in 7 players so far, so yeah, they look like they're an attractive prospect to sign, and you're battling at the top in comparison to battling at the bottom. That's reality. Leeds United are going to be battling relegation this season. If we finish 17th, it'll be unbelievable. But this would have been the needle mover. So it's disappointing, but I'm not going to get to a stage of which I'm absolutely unequivocally upset, gutted, angry about it, because the 49ers have shown me this season that if they don't get the main target, they can still get in a top quality asset. And I do trust them. I'll be honest with you. I do trust them at the helm from a recruitment standpoint. I think they've done really well this season. I always thought this was going to be tough. I think Muniz will be tough. I do. I think Muniz will be a tough deal to get done. I think Pajau will be a tough deal to get done. Why? Because these are the needle movers. You brought your Beal in, you brought your Perry's in, you brought your Stack in, you brought 3 players in there who are brilliant acquisitions. But in terms of needle movers, match winners, these are the players. Your Muniz, your Pajau, they are your needle movers. And that's why you get players like teams, I should say, like Marseille, moving the needle if we are to go and get him. Okay, let's get into a few of your comments, shall we? Aiden says, "What's next?" Ryan, what's Ryan Kent up to? Oh, mate, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Jimmy says, "Been strung along the whole time. He clearly wanted Olympic Marseille. We were just giving false hope for Straighten. He was clearly the number one target. Get Zollis. Yeah, Zollis was one of my additions, mate. I don't think that'd be a bad shout. It'd be interesting now to see if we then go on for Loriente, who we mentioned right at the beginning of the window. Let's get his profile up now so you guys can just have a little bit of a look. And we will, over the next coming days as well, start to have a look at maybe alternative targets, because this was always going to be a problem. No, it's just not going to bring up his. Is it going to bring up his Serie A season? No. Is it just been awkward? It is indeed. But this is the guy anyway who you will be looking at. Armand Loriente got a ridiculous amount of goals in Serie B last season. Has played for Rennes as well in Liga and last season. Has a huge ceiling. Young profile as well. He's around about 25 years of age. This is someone who I mentioned at the very beginning of the season, very similar to that of Manor Solomon, but I think he's got a little bit more agility, which has been my problem with Solomon. I think at the top level, I think maybe going down that left-hand side, he's probably going to be a little bit weak, because I think on the fullbacks favoured side, they're going to be a lot stronger in the duels. I think just cutting in a lot of the times and narrowing the play is going to be a disadvantage to Leeds. Loriente can go both sides very efficiently, which I think is going to be bigger. He's quicker than Solomon as well, if we're just looking at that comparative. And then you kind of look at Zollis as well, who I think is just a little bit more powerful than Solomon as a comparative. He goes down on his left a little bit more efficiently as well than Solomon. That's kind of what I've looked at when I picked out Loriente and Zollis. I think on that left-hand side, obviously because they are occupying on that left and have a strong right foot, I think they are still strong. So yeah, and Solomon is. I just think it's that agility and speed, which is maybe going to come a little bit unstuck for him in the Premier League. But the difference with Paixao, obviously, was this. And look, you look at his stats, and This is why he's the top target. Just have a look at those statistics. They are just outstanding statistics, and probably Rafinha level statistics when he was at Rennes. So that player would have been a massive needle mover. It is a shame. But as I've said, everybody, I do trust in the 49ers to get this right. I genuinely do. So yeah, Nusa as well. I've seen a lot of people talking about that. Jimmy says, clear the agent has added say, money the reason. It's interesting though, Jimmy, when it comes to that, because I think Leeds were the bigger side here. Leeds were the better side when it comes to when it comes to this in terms of the money that would have offered. I thoroughly believe Leeds would have gone probably to around 40 million euros for this. He's clearly our number one target. He's clearly our number one target. We'd gone more for Paixao than Muniz and Diarra. So and obviously been rejected by those two as well. So yeah, I don't think that would have been the case. I've mentioned this before that the agent actually gets more of a fee when it comes to that transfer commission. If it's a bigger fee for him, there might have been bonuses intertwined with the deal, which may have sweetened the deal for the agent when it comes to Marseille. Potentially, bonuses are met. He might think that let's say hypothetically Igor Paixao, if he gets to 15 goals this season, the agent gets a set fee, the player gets a set fee. That might have sweetened the deal because he might think, look, there's a bigger likelihood that Igor Paixao in the Ligue 1 is going to get 15 goals as opposed to the Premier League for Leeds United. That is a realistic target, and you've got to think about where he's going to be batting for Leeds in comparison to batting for Marseille. They are going to be dominant possession wise. They're going to be dominant overall. So it is what it is. Garmask, T Garmask, Garmask. Sorry, mate, I can't pronounce that. Sunderland's owner's mam is part owner of Marseille. We strike again. Nah, you know what happens. Better luck with the next one. Yep, cheers, mate. It is. I think it's a big sort of plus point as well for Sunderland because I think if he came in at Ellen Road, I think. Do you know what? I don't want to get to a stage of which I'm patting us on the back for even attempting it, but getting to this stage with a player of that quality, a player who has been playing in Europe and just battered up AC Milan and battered up other clubs last season in Europe, and Leeds getting to a stage of which it's between us and a Champions League club and nearly getting it, really, really nearly getting it. I think it's a big props to us. I think it's a big props to our negotiation team. And there has to be a shortlist. There will be a shortlist. Leeds kick off the season on the 18th of August. We kick off on the 15th when it comes to that weekend. It's a big period now for Leeds United, and it's exciting in a sense because look, we're going to be able to potentially go to some more targets, and we might look at these targets in the future and think, do you know what? Brilliant. It worked out well, like we've done with Anton Stack. Anton Stack, thank God it worked out well with the other targets that we had. You know, if you are to believe Siddiqui, if you are to believe Diarra, Anton Stack is a top addition in that midfield, a quality addition in that midfield. And just so we know how good the recruitment has been so far, Gabby Goodmanson has been playing week in, week out for a top five French club at left back for a series of years now. Jacobiol was one of the top superstars at Euro 2024 and has an outstanding season next to Umar Saleh for Udinese. You look further forward, Anton Stack has been one of the best Bundesliga midfielders for the past 2 years. Stats have just been absolutely incredible. Someone said to me online, Connor, would you rather get Xhaka or Anton Stack? I said, Anton, or someone said, Xhaka or Longstaff. And I went, well, Anton Stack, you look at the numbers compared with them both when it comes to duels, aerial wins, when it comes to possession, when it comes to interceptions, blocks. Stack is way ahead. So we've got an unbelievable signing there for the value that we played in 17.4 million quid for him. So you look across the squad and it's building nicely. It is just those forward positions, and the forward positions are going to keep you in this division. You know, they're going to keep you in this division. You can be brilliant at the back, and as Brownie said, maybe a point per game, 38 points, and you stay up. But we also know that's not realistic. So we need goals. Rodrigo Muniz is going to be a tough one to get done, in my opinion. It's always been that way. Paixao was always going to be a tough one to get done. As I've said, everybody, you guys were asking me this morning, Connor, do you think we'll get it done? You all know if you were here this morning. You all know if you've been here as well for the past however many days. I still thought to myself, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we get this one done. But look, we move on, don't we? We move on, and it is what it is. I'm not too bothered by it, to be honest. He says. He says. Jimmy Glass, the keeper, says, any number 10's link, not seen much in the news. I don't think so, Jimmy. I think we're probably going to go to maybe a right winger or a left winger, and I don't think you're going to see a number 10 come in, mate. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in the comments section below. Boris says, 100%, mate. Yeah, fair enough. Do you know what the thing is, though, with Marseille? You were cocky from the start. You've got him well done, but you'll never be better than PSG. And that will grate you lot for the longest of time. You'll never finish in that top spot ever again. So it is what it is. Marcelo Bielsa, hiya Marcelo. 49ers. Yeah, here we go. I thought this was going to happen. I thought this was going to happen. Um, why are we matching Marseille's? Well, but if you're to believe all reports, Mr. Marcelo, thank you for the great work as well. If you're to believe all reports, Leeds would have gone past Marseille's. It probably just gets to a stumbling point when Leeds United are in contact with his agent, which they were, and his agent's turning around and saying, well, he wants Marseille. What do Leeds do there? What do we do? And this is it. Football negotiations aren't as simple as this. And we've always said this throughout. If he wants that move and he's not convinced by Leeds United, what can you do? If I'm a footballer and I have no Leeds United ties whatsoever, I go to Marseille. I go to Marseille. There's probably a higher likelihood I score more goals in that division, get more assists in that division because it's less competitive than the Premier League. You look at my state when I'm playing over there. I am going to be able to still up my profile and my style because I'll be going over there scoring a lot of goals because Paixao will score a lot of goals in Liga and I'm going to be part of what the second, third best team in France. I'm going to be surrounded by better players in that division because they've already got a nucleus of a very good side at Marseille. They're going to be adding more as well. This season, they've already brought 7 in. They're going to be bringing in more. It could be another signing where they get Tim Weah in. Maybe they're not able to do Tim Weah now because of this Paixao deal. But it's very difficult when you're going to be fighting against relegation. And the last 6 teams that have come up to the Premier League have gone straight back down. These will have been conversations that Paixao, his representatives, and just his inner circle will have been having. Is it likely that I'm going to be able to prosper in a team that are going to be in a low block? Is it likely that I'm going to be able to prosper and get the goals that I need to elevate my status if we're going to be fighting against relegation? The likelihood is no. Rafinha was able to do that because he was an exceptional player. Paixao could have been that exceptional player. And the counterpoint to what I've just been saying is he'll be surrounded by a better team. Surrounded by a better team, but the Premier League is much better than where we were last time. You know, it's much better. The standard is much better, and that has been aided by the fact that the other 17 teams, have been able to get stronger in the last 2 years and financially more mighty because the last 6 teams have gone up and gone straight back down. So they've reaped the rewards of that. It's become its own like little super league in the past couple of years. So I am disappointed. I have to say, I am disappointed, but I'm not turning around and just having a go at the Niners. Like they've done for me, they've done everything they can. Farker will probably have had discussions with Paixao as well. Presumably, Leeds United as an entity, as a unit, have tried their absolute hardest to get him. But look, guys, personal terms were agreed with Paixao and Marseille. I followed the story to the nth degree. They were agreed 2.5 weeks ago. Marseille couldn't stump up the fee, but the personal terms were already agreed, which tells you that they're in contact with his agent and in contact with Paixao very early on. So there was no conversation. There was nothing we saw on the airwaves of Leeds United having personal terms agreed, which is why I was always a little bit on the offence. We heard, oh, we'd like to play in the Premier League. Now he's spoken to Rafinha, but it was all a bit wishy-washy. There was no consolidation, no confirmation of the fact that personal terms were agreed. Never anything on that. So yeah, I'm not going to go to that level, to be honest with you. Kershaw says, there is no way we're working on one player at a time. No need for a meltdown over a player out injured. I think that's look, let's not just rewrite history. Would I have liked Igor Paixao? Absolutely. But we're not going to start the season with him. He would have missed the first 2 or 3 games anyway. So if you can get someone now, this is the exciting side of it, everybody. This is the positive side of things. And this is why I'm not getting crazy about it. If you can go out, and Leeds will have to work on this now, Underwood, and I'm sure there's been conversations with other players. I'm sure there has been. And Leeds are probably moving right now. Leeds will be moving right now because they've not got long left. But there are other. Let's not get to a scenario now where we're stressing about something that other clubs have got to do as well. Burnley have got to make signings. Wolves are in a problem situation at the minute. Everton are a real problem situation now when it comes to attracting players. Malik Fofana rejecting them recently. Evan Gassan rejecting Wolves over the weekend. You know, you've got the bottom 3 clubs still with a lot of work to do. So this isn't just a Leeds United thing, but there is an argument with Leeds United that we already have the best framework and structure, to go to the Premier League and really sort of thrive. So the lucky thing is, we go to the Premier League Lucas has said you were the one saying they're out the race. Lucas, there's something called the rumor mill, my friend. The rumor mill is rumors. Lucas, I have to really force this down people's throats sometimes, mate. I'm not saying they're out the race. I'm not an ITK. The rumor mill's a show we do every morning based on rumors, my friend. If you want to know a definition of what a rumor is, Google's your best friend, my friend. Right. So yeah, I kind of look at it and I think to myself, look, we'll wait and see what happens. But I'm not too upset by it because I think we've seen them move a fair bit when it comes to it. Oscar Bob is a shout. Yeah, Connor, who would you go for? I think we'll end up with May. Well, I have to sit down really. I have to sit down and really have a think about this. I'm not just going to start throwing out names out there. I've spoken on here about Christoph Zolis before. I've spoken about Armand Loriente before. They will be exciting additions. They will be, I guess, more realistic signings. Bakwa is on the other side of the pitch, so I'm just trying to talk about left-sided players right now. I'm gonna have to go away and really study this. Maybe 5 alternatives that I can think of and do a little bit of research behind. I don't, if I'm being brutally honest with you, if I'm being brutally honest with you, I'm not 100% sure uh, that we get someone on the level of Paixao. I think that's a really tricky deal to get done. It's a really, really tricky deal to get done when it comes to Paixao because of just the quality of him. But yeah, it's yeah. I think what you've kind of got to look at, what you've kind of got to look at with our wingers in particular is we've got a lot of very decent wingers for this level. Ramazani's looked absolutely hot in preseason. Nonso's looked fantastic off the left in particular against Paderborn. Got Dan James, who we all are very well aware. In my opinion, Dan James starts the season on the right side. So you actually look at that front three. Obviously, it's missing a centre forward. We know that. But you actually look at that front three going into the season. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I'm genuinely not. I didn't expect Leeds to go for a left winger anyway. I'm not saying I wouldn't have wanted Paixao, but it is what it is. Like Leeds are in a phase right now where we're quite lucky. You know, we're quite lucky with the wingers that we have at our disposal. You know, we all want this shiny new toy. People are so impatient during the transfer window. It's unbelievable. People just want the shiny new toy now. You know, we've signed Stat last week. They don't care. Longstaff, they don't care. We're moving on now. We have to get this signing now. Leeds have effed it up because we've not got ahead. We've not, got ahead of him ahead of Marseille or whatever. But it is what it is. We've got very decent wingers, I think, already, and you need to add to that. I guess that is the conversation. I understand that, but I think going into the Premier League season, I think I'm absolutely fine. I'm absolutely fine with Leeds and the wingers that they've got right now and the wingers that they've got now. And obviously there's news on Schmidt going out. There's a lot of rumors online about potentially James Justin coming in. So that's something to look at as well. But Leeds move. Leeds move. It is what it is. And we must have second, third targets, I'm sure. But it's extremely difficult when the player doesn't want the move. I don't really know what more Leeds United could have done in that respect, to be honest with you. Too good to be true, wasn't it? Too good to be true. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in the section below. Connor got a 5 alternatives to Igor bid to make. I would have had to cry if I had to make that. Gutted, as we seem to be great at getting deals done. Blockbuster, not great. Yeah, 100%, man. And there will be alternative video, mate. I will make an alternative video, 100%. But you've got to look at what we've got right now. We wouldn't have been going into the season with him anyway. There was a likelihood that he was going to be missing up until the Arsenal game, which was a little bit of a bugbear of mine. Leeds clearly knew that he was worth it. Guys, if you gun to my head, is there anything else that excites me when it comes to left wingers out there? Not really. When it comes to Paixao is the net. And I can just see WFIA08 there saying who the similar level. There isn't really who Leeds are interested in. Like I mentioned, Armand Loriente right at the beginning. I'll be brutally honest with you, he's not as good as Paixao. Christoph Zolis, who would I rather have, Zolis or it's Paixao all day and twice on a Sunday? I think Paixao could go to the very top. So these are big players, and you can see that by the Marseille move, and he'll be their poster boy signing, and that's European competition football, maybe challenging for league and title Marseille next season, and he's their poster boy signing. So that's kind of the levels we're talking about right now. So, but I'm not, I don't look at, I have to say, I don't look at Leeds United's sides now when it comes to the wingers and maybe think similar to what everybody else thinks when it comes to um, maybe them not being good enough. I completely disagree with that. I think Ramazani can start in the Premier League. I think Nonto can start on that left hand side. Dan James starts on that right hand side as well. You know, how much would a Marseille pay for Dan James? How much would a Marseille play for Willie Nonto if he was on the market? I'm sure they'd pay quite a bit as well. So yeah. Hey Connor, mate. Thoughts on Malik? Well, that would be a nice one, wouldn't it? Malik Fofana. The thing is, Lee, with Malik Fofana, he's turned down Everton. I think he sees his future as a little bit higher. We've got that nice relationship, haven't we, with Leon now, with Lucas Perry coming in. Could he be a little bit of an instigator for it? Malik Fofana is definitely an upper echelon player, definitely on that left hand side. Can play on the right as well. Superb player between the lines, aggressive. Very good in terms of long range shots, which is similar to Igor Paixao, instinctive, very nice player. But if you're turning down Everton, and this is the kind of complications we're involved in now, the complications that we're involved in now, if you are turning down Everton, unfortunately, you are likely going to be turning down Leeds United. You are. Okay, let's have a look. Rodrigo wouldn't excite. No, we're not going for Rodrigo, guys. James Justin, are you kidding me? Announced relegation. I don't think that would be a poor signing as backup. I really don't. 27 years of age. I don't think it would, Liam. Backup to a left back and a right back. If you keep him fit, I think he's got the physical profile. He's played a lot of Premier League minutes as well. If we want that Prem proven stuff, I think in Jules he's decent. I think aerially he's decent as well. I think he's a backup. who, who are we going to go get for a backup? Kyle Walker Peters isn't going to come in as a backup. Newsflash. Nelson Semedo, who I keep mentioning, is not likely going to come in as a backup when you look at his wage structure. Jaffa Tanganga, who knows? But if you look at Jaffa Tanganga in comparison to James Justin, I like Tanganga, but Justin's 27, Tanganga's 26. Tanganga, who I rate, is playing in the championship, but you compare him up against James Justin. If you can keep James Justin fit as a rotation player, I don't think that's bad at all. I don't think that's bad at all. To be honest with you. And there's no point in saying, guys in the chat, in my opinion anyway, you'd have Schmidt over James Justin because Farker doesn't want Schmidt. Farker doesn't want Schmidt. Leeds evidently are willing to trade Schmidt as well. So this is a pointless conversation. The pointless conversation. Right. How many of you in the chat? We've got 1,700 of you. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video, everybody. It's good to see all these Marseille fans in here. Well done, guys. It's good to see you in here. How are you? Are you all right? Good shout, Ryan. Orsolini at Bologna. Ryan with a bomber. A bomber suggestion, Ryan. Wow. Yeah. Might not be a bad shout, that, mate. Might not be. Bologna have got some absolute. Joe Ferguson, who is one of my absolute favourites, the Scotsman, Ferguson at Bologna. If he just wasn't on such a long deal, I'd be like, Leeds, could we? Could we maybe? Nonto could hit some of the numbers in the Eredivisie. I don't think that's a bad shout, Callum. I really don't. I really don't. We are nearly promoted championship side. Why are people saying we should sign RM players? Yes, exactly, mate. I think we've just got to be a little bit careful in terms of that. Imagine he fails a medical now. Yeah, well, I guess, Kirsch, when you're looking at the last player that went to Marseille, who failed a medical at Leeds, and then he went to Marseille, didn't do that well at Marseille, did he? Michael Cuisance, and they paid a decent amount of money for him. So I think we got away with that one quite nicely. So we'll wait and see. But there's no for me, there's no animosity with it. I just trust the 49ers, and I think that's a big thing for Leeds United. We've not had owners who have had recruitment in the best way before, and I think right now we've kind of got a lot of really good players in. I like Goodmanson. I think it's a really good sign in there. I like Perry. We're all so excited about Perry at the weekend. Be all top player, Stack top player. Yes, they've got to hit the ground running. We're all very, very aware of this, but I like what they've done so far with some of the big signings. We'll have to wait and see, though. We'll have to wait and see how this pans out, and that's kind of where we're at right now. This was the one, Remy. This was the one. Yeah, Unahi as well, another one. But he was interesting, and I'm just gonna have a quick look actually with him and Girona because this was the moving part when it came to Marseille fans. And there's actually Marseille fans in the chat. Marseille fans, do you want to let us know about Unahi and Girona if you want to actually contribute to the conversation instead of just coming out here and ripping us to shreds when it comes to Mickey taking? But yeah, it looks like Unahi is a favourite to go to Girona. And this is what I was speaking about a while ago when I was talking about negotiation. Marseille might have found a little bit of a just marginal gain when it comes to a transfer there when it comes to a lot of the outs, which they can then contribute to their obviously transfer pot. And it looked like it was going to be Asamin Unahi who was going to be the guy going to Girona, and maybe they're a little bit closer to negotiation there, which can add to the transfer pot, obviously, which they'll put towards Tim Weah, but of course, primarily Igor Paixao. So there we go. Slap a like on the video, everybody. Yes, and we will talk about all the other bits as well when it comes to this. Marseille better project. Yeah, I can't deny that. Can't deny that. Can't deny that. Mr. Peace is all in for Noosa now. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yep, good to see Marseille fans in here. Can we subscribe to the channel as well? Good to see that. It is kicking off in the chat, which is good. Pride of Yorkshire, £1.99. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I wouldn't. Can you shout out my good mate Robert? Good shout out to you, Robert. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? Adam Reed says, "Is this officially confirmed?" It's not, mate. It's not officially confirmed as of right now. He's got a medical to complete, but when you get Fabrice Hawkins in particular from the French side of things saying that he's going out there and he's got a medical to complete, and all, you kind of look at it. He was the one who Romano quote tweeted at the weekend. He's excellent when it comes to French news. He's pretty much top tier journalist over there. He's just mentioned that apparently it's nearly a 5-year deal they've agreed and all this sort of stuff. So as I say, he'd have missed the start of the season. Probably would have been back for Leeds' fourth game if you're to believe the injury reports. Yeah, was he worth it? 100%. Would he have been probably a marquee signing? 100%. But as I've said, even just Nonso and Ramazani, they're a lot like other people, that maybe they don't excite other people. For me, football's not linear. I think these two have the attributes to play on the left-hand side, which we didn't see a lot of last season in the Premier League. I think we've seen a lot of that in pre-season where they both look really sharp. Bearing in mind, that's been Ramazani against Man United as well. But Nonso's been absolutely hot in pre-season as well when it comes to the right and the left. Look, I hadn't expected us to go for a left winger. I thought we'd have primarily gone down the right, and maybe you'd have gone for a backward at Strasbourg, and it'd have been a little bit more cost efficient. I didn't expect us to go for a left winger. I think on that left hand side we're stacked. I think we're fine on that left hand side. Would I've liked Paixao? Of course I would have done. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. But I think Nonso and Ramazani have traits that actually fit the Premier League a lot better anyway. To be honest with you, and it looks like Leeds will probably do that position again. But is that one of those positions as well? The shout out to you, Stephen Whitey, mate. But is that one of those positions as well where you're kind of looking at it and thinking to yourself, um, yeah, we need a left winger. It wasn't really one of those positions I was looking at and thinking, yeah, let's go and do left wing. Let's go and do that. It wasn't at the start of the window. I thought a 10 and a striker, maybe, definitely, and potentially a right winger, but a left winger was never on my bingo card. So as long as they don't do the kind of route, from my personal perspective, everybody, from Paixao to a Solomon, or maybe a Paixao to maybe a Gus Hamer, with the greatest of respects. I think they're very different profiles of player. I kind of want to see a very similar profile to that of Paixao, which is obviously different to that of Solomon as well, in particular. And we'll wait and see on that front. We'll wait and see on that front. Nonso looks better on the right or middle for me. See, Jason, for me, looks miles better on the left. Miles better on the left. Caduce off the left. I prefer him centrally. I'll be honest with you. It's a little bit like Enciso. Enciso can play on the right. He can play off the left, but I prefer him centrally. Let's have a look. Somerville to return? I don't think so, mate. I don't think so. I don't think so. God, there's a lot of Marseille fans in here, isn't there? A lot of Marseille fans in here. Great to see. Great to see. I think as well, what I'd look at is how many signings have we made in the past week, everybody? 2 players. So Leeds have been working on Lucas Perry, they've been working on Anton Stack and Igor Paixao. 2 out of 3 of those signings, not bad. It's really not bad in terms of a negotiation stratosphere. I'm not look, I feel sick because I wanted the player in. He's a brilliant player. He's a needle mover. Are there other needle movers out there? 100%. 100%. But Leeds, let's not pretend that we've wasted time here. We haven't. And there'll be other targets on there as well. Um, You cannot get a deal done if a player doesn't want to come. And that is the nooks and crannies of it. Werder Bremen in talks as well for Isaac Schmidt. Leeds want a replacement before they approve the 25-year-old's departure. I think that's sensible. I think that's sensible. Yep. It is what it is. We will wait and see what happens tomorrow, everybody. We'll be back with the rumour mill, of course, the rumour mill. Yeah, as we're back on the rumour mill, we will be ready and waiting with all of the transfer news, of which I'm sure it's going to amp up now, everybody. I'm sure it is. But there's 1,700 of you in the building. Slap a like on the video, everybody. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep it respectful, keep it articulate, and we will see you on the next edition of the rumour mill tomorrow at 10 a.m. Cheers, guys.